Something from before the war that Hank brought with him to Vault 31.
What if the most dangerous character in Fallout Season 2 wasn't a raider, a mutant, or something lurking on the surface, but someone we've been watching since Season 1? Steph Harper starts out as the friendly Vault Mom, Lucy's ride-or-die best friend, the person who makes Vault 33 feel safe and human. But by Episode 4, she's holding power, secrets, and a knife she's way too comfortable using. A single hidden ID card turns her entire story upside down, and suddenly nothing about her feels accidental anymore. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and today we're breaking down who Steph Harper really is, why her Canadian origin matters more than it seems, and how her rise to Overseer might be setting up the most dangerous conflict Fallout has ever teased.
But I do think it would be best if you referred to me as Overseer Harper.
From Vault Friend to Vault-Tec asset. On paper, Steph's biography already reads like a red flag. Born February 15, 2045, Canadian by birth, Vault-Tec employee, graduate of Bud Askin's Buds program, selected for cryostasis as part of an experiment designed to create super managers who would define the future of humanity after the Great War. That alone tells you she was never meant to live a normal Vault life. She was meant to manage people, shape outcomes, and enforce systems, not just survive them. When she's reactivated and transferred to Vault 33, everything looks almost too normal. She marries Bert, integrates into Vault society, joins associations, keeps busy, builds friendships. Even her affection for Bert feels genuine, if slightly awkward and human in that Fallout way. The show goes out of its way to make Steph feel emotionally real before it ever makes her feel dangerous. That's the trick. Vault-Tec didn't just freeze managers, it taught them how to blend.
Giving you access to our water.
What's in it?
Trauma as a trigger, not a break. The raid on Vault 33 is the pivot point. Bert's death in the cornfield isn't just a tragic loss, it's the moment Steph's emotional mask fractures. Her response isn't paralysis or despair, it's rage, immediate, focused, violent rage. She's stabbed in the eye with a fork and keeps fighting. She grabs a submachine gun and cuts down raiders. This isn't a civilian reacting on instinct. This is someone whose crisis response is already wired. Afterward, even as she grieves, Steph doesn't collapse. She recalibrates. She seeks comfort from Chet, but even that dynamic quickly shifts into something unsettling, giving him Bert's clothes, making him wear them, initiating intimacy while clearly compartmentalizing grief. Then labor hits and life moves on, because for Steph, life always moves on. Emotion doesn't stop function, it just fuels it. That's a Buds hallmark. Feel everything but never lose control.
We've always been doing, Betty. Trying to survive.
The Overseer promotion that should scare you. Steph being appointed Overseer of Vault 32 isn't random, and it's not a kindness. Betty didn't just give her a job, she handed her a testing ground. Vault 32 is unstable, disoriented, leaderless after catastrophe. It's exactly the kind of environment Vault-Tec would want a super manager to step into, and Steph steps in cold. She struggles with the terminal, sure, but not with authority. Davy annoys her, and she immediately reframes his confusion into a bureaucratic task. Chet asks for a role, and she shuts it down. Childcare becomes his responsibility, not hers. The baby isn't a bonding point, it's a logistical factor. The orange scene says everything. She peels it aggressively with a Bowie knife when Chet talks about names and trauma. When Chet protests the name Chet Jr., she doesn't argue. She stabs the knife into the desk. Conversation over, decision made. Authority asserted. This is not grief, this is consolidation.
I found Bud Askin's upside down in a...
The Vault 31 question and the first cracks. When Norm asks about Vault 31, Steph's response is careful to the point of suspicion. What did your dad tell you? That's not ignorance, that's deflection. She knows the narrative she's supposed to protect, and she knows when silence is safer than contradiction. Later, when inter-vault communications fail, Steph immediately tries to contact Vault 31. That's her real center of gravity. Not Vault 33, not Vault 32, Vault 31. Bud Askins, the experiment. When she learns Bud is dead and Vault 31 is effectively abandoned, there's a brief flicker of surprise, and then something much more dangerous: opportunity. Without Bud, there's no overseer of the overseers, no corporate parent, no voice telling her what the experiment requires. For the first time, Steph gets to decide what Vault-Tec ideology actually means in practice.
The experiment's over, Betty. We have to...
The intervault meeting and the end of obedience. The conversation between Steph and Betty in the intervault space is one of the most revealing scenes in the entire season. Betty comes in still thinking like a caretaker, someone balancing protocol with survival. Steph is already thinking like a sovereign power. When Betty asks for water aid, Steph refuses, not because she can't help, but because she won't unless it benefits her, her child, her vault, her leverage. When Betty reminds her who appointed her, Steph pushes back hard, implying she's endured far more than Betty ever has. Then comes the line that changes everything. The experiment is over. That's not frustration, that's ideology. Steph isn't just breaking rules, she's declaring Vault-Tec obsolete, not because she rejects control, but because she no longer answers to anyone above her.
Chet, I've been busy, and I need someone to...
The Canadian ID and why it matters. Chet finding Steph's pre-war U.S. temporary ID card is the moment the audience finally catches up. The reveal isn't just that she's Canadian, it's that she's pre-war, cryogenically preserved, hundreds of years old, a living artifact of the world Vault-Tec destroyed. The Canadian detail isn't meaningless, but it's not the core twist either. Pre-war Canada was annexed, occupied, exploited. Fallout has always framed this as a brutal, fascistic expansion, complete with propaganda executions. If Steph lived through that era, her relationship to Vault-Tec isn't neutral. It's layered with trauma, coercion, and survival choices. She didn't just work for Vault-Tec. She may have joined them because the alternative was annihilation. That reframes everything: her obedience, her ambition, her cruelty, even her patience.
But I do think it would be best if you referred to me as overseer.
Burning Theory 1, the Long Con Survivor. One dominant theory is that Steph isn't loyal to Vault-Tec at all. She's a survivor who learned the only way to outlive Empire is to become useful to it. Her participation in Bud's Buds wasn't belief, it was strategy. Cryostasis wasn't faith in the future. It was a way to skip to a moment where the old powers were weak enough to be challenged. Her declaration that the experiment is over fits this perfectly. She waited until Vault 31 collapsed, until Bud died, until the chain of command vanished. Now she's free to reinterpret Vault-Tec's mission as something that benefits her, not them. In this reading, Steph isn't sabotaging the system out of rage, she's outlasting it.
Help us, there won't be a Vault 33 anymore.
Burning Theory 2, the corporate true believer without a leash. The darker alternative is that Steph is exactly what Bud wanted, just without the leash. She believes in control, hierarchy, and engineered outcomes. She just doesn't believe in sentiment, community, or shared sacrifice. From this angle, her Canadian origin isn't about resistance, it's about hardening. She's seen what happens when power collapses and violence fills the gap. She doesn't want chaos, she wants order, no matter how cruel. Vault-Tec didn't brainwash her, it validated her worldview. That makes her terrifying, because she's not rebelling, she's evolving.
There's a keepsake box. Something from...
Burning Theory 3, Hank's box as the real prize. Her fixation on Hank McClane's pre-war keepsake box feels too specific to be a power play alone. That box likely contains something tied directly to Vault-Tec's deepest secrets, evidence of complicity in the bombs, documentation of the annexation, or something personal tying Hank, Barb Howard, and Bud Askins together. Steph doesn't ask for resources or weapons, she asks for history. That suggests leverage, not survival. If she controls the narrative of the past, she controls the future of the vaults.
When you said experiment to Betty, what were you talking about?
Burning Theory 4, the Vault Civil War is already here. By the end of episode 4, Steph has quietly positioned herself against everyone. Betty, Vault 33, Vault-Tec, even Chet. Woody's blind obedience makes him disposable. Chet's knowledge makes him dangerous. The Vault system itself becomes a chessboard, not a home. This doesn't feel like setup for a single villain. It feels like the birth of an internal war, where the most dangerous enemy isn't on the surface, it's in the office, behind the desk, smiling calmly while the knife stays within reach.
Vault 32, Stephanie Harper.
What Steph Harper represents in Fallout. Steph isn't just a twist character. She's Fallout distilled, a survivor shaped by empire, corporate power, and the lie that control can save humanity. Whether she's a saboteur, a tyrant, or something in between, she embodies the show's central question. When the old world dies, who gets to decide what replaces it? By the time the season moves forward, one thing is clear. Steph Harper isn't reacting anymore. She's choosing, and whatever she chooses next, it's not going to be good for anyone who still believes the vaults were ever meant to protect them.
Then we've supported each other in the past.
And as a gesture of gratitude,
Our nerdy thought. Steph Harper started as a friendly face in Vault 33, but by the end of this episode, she feels like the embodiment of everything Fallout has been warning us about since the very beginning. Corporate control, manufactured order, and the illusion of safety. Whether she's a long-con survivor, a Vault-Tec true believer without a leash, or something far more dangerous, one thing is clear. The experiment may be over, but the consequences are just getting started. If Steph really is done following Vault-Tec's rules, then the next war in Fallout won't be fought on the surface. It'll start inside the vaults. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dive theories and lore, and let me know in the comments, do you think Steph is playing everyone, or do you think she genuinely believes she's saving humanity? Until next time, stay nerdy, and remember, the vault is never as safe as it looks.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.